In the corridor of the Neon Club, Luna, in a cheerful mood, carried her bag, humming a little tune softly. Her high heels clicked on the obsidian-like floor. With her chest held high, her heart was filled with expectations for a bright future. There was only 1 month left until her wedding with Henry. Today, she had been promoted to the chief jewelry designer of the company. Although her family background was far from that of Henry's, at least she was getting closer to him step by step. Henry was excellent, and she, Luna, was no less outstanding. She didn't want to be the Cinderella who was said to rise to prominence by relying on a man. What she desired was a love where she could stand on equal footing with Henry and fight side by side. At the thought of Henry, a faint smile appeared on Luna's face. She had intended to call Henry and share the news of her promotion as soon as she received the email. But then she thought that it would be more ceremonial to share it while looking into Henry's eyes in person. She knew that Henry was having a gathering with friends at Neon today, so she came without giving prior notice. She wanted to give Henry a surprise. When Luna arrived, the door of the private room was ajar. Just as she was about to push the door open, she heard Henry's friend Lucas teasing him, "You're almost getting married, but you still haven't broken up with Isabella. Aren't you afraid that the Cinderella will dump you when she finds out?" Luna's breath caught. As she was trying to figure out what Lucas meant, she heard Henry say softly, "I'm a bit hesitant now and considering whether to marry Luna or not." Several of Henry's friends joked, "You proposed 99 times in 10 years, and the Cinderella finally said yes, but now you're acting up." Ho Chin Tui put down the wine glass in his hand, composed himself, and said, "It's precisely because she agreed that I find it rather boring. I used to think that Luna was very special. She was as cold and aloof as a snow lotus on Tian Shan Mountain and as noble as a goddess in the fairyland. But now, I don't think she's any different from other women. All she thinks about every day is getting promoted and making money. She's simply vulgar. Isabella is much more obedient, innocent, and lovely. Her greatest advantage compared to Luna is that she depends on me a lot, making me feel needed. Luna is too assertive." Luna's hand on the doorknob trembled slightly. It wasn't that she hadn't noticed the change in Henry since she accepted his proposal. She had thought that it was because she had been too busy with her promotion recently and had neglected him, so he was deliberately being cold to her out of anger. It turned out, Henry's friends seemed to have discovered something new. After all, most of the friends there had witnessed his 10-year relationship with Luna. In these 10 years, Henry had always been the proactive one. He had already taken 99 steps, and only the last step was left. How could he regret it now? Someone asked, "The wedding is in a month. Isn't it too late for you to regret now?" A girl nestled into Henry's arms and giggled, "I'll come to snatch the groom on your wedding day." Henry gave Isabella a mischievous kiss and said, "Sure, if you dare to come, I'll go with you. I just want to see if Luna's expressionless face can always stay so calm." Luna didn't have the courage to listen to the rest. She fled in a hurry like a clown. Her heart seemed to be repeatedly kneaded by a pair of big hands stained with venom, and the pain made it hard for her to breathe. On the same obsidian-like marble floor, all she could see was cold despair. Luna stumbled back to the home she shared with Henry. Everything here, from the large-scale basic interior decoration to the smallest ornament, had been painstakingly arranged by her and Henry bit by bit. Once, everything here had been proof of their love and evidence of Henry's kindness to her. She had thought that Henry, like her, was full of anticipation for their future life. But now Luna just found it ridiculous. 10 years. A had been in love for 10 years, and in the end, all she got was his words, "It's rather boring." Luna suddenly felt dizzy, and her vision became blurred. It turned out that she had unknowingly started crying. Her face was icy cold, and the chill reached deep into her heart. It really was boring. In order to narrow the gap between them and to stand at the same height as him, she had been like a spinning top, not daring to stop for a moment. She had even given up her dream for him. "I'm so stupid," Luna mocked herself. When her grandmother passed away 10 years ago, she had understood that the only person she could rely on in this world was herself. After meeting Henry, why had she forgotten that? Luna took out her phone and dialed a number. Hello, Senior. Is there still a spot available with Professor Maxwell? Yes, yes, yes. Have you made up your mind? Julian on the other end of the phone nodded excitedly. 3 years ago, Professor Maxwell had accidentally seen Luna's design sketches at Julian's place and was very excited. He said, Luna is a very talented girl. A girl with such talent should receive better guidance. Julian, introduce her to me. I'm confident that I can make her a world-class art master. Professor Maxwell was a renowned teacher at the Royal Academy of Arts in Paris. There were countless people who wanted to be his students, but only a few were fortunate enough to win his favor. When Luna first got the news, she was also very tempted. Such an opportunity was truly rare. But thinking of the clingy Henry, she hesitated. Graduating from Professor Maxwell's class would take 5 years. She couldn't bear to let Henry suffer from the pain of missing her, so she declined. Luna gave a bitter smile. No wonder she always heard others say that feeling sorry for a man would bring misfortune to oneself. She deserved it. Fortunately, Professor Maxwell cherished talent and asked Julian to tell her that the offer was valid for 5 years. Yeah, Luna replied. I've made up my mind. Please ask Professor Maxwell when I can go there. Julian was overjoyed. Professor Maxwell said that within 5 years, you can come at any time. We're going to start a new project in 2 months. It would be great if you could arrive during that period. 2 months? It wouldn't take that long. After a month. I'll go there after a month. Thank you, Senior. Don't mention it. It's my great honor. The two chatted for a while longer, and Luna hung up the phone, making an excuse that she still had to work overtime. She buried herself in the sofa, looking like a wounded bird. Otherwise, I'll come and try to stop your wedding on your wedding day. Fine. If you dare to come, I'll go with you. These words kept replaying in her mind. Snatch the groom, hun, I'll let you have your way. At 3 o'clock in the morning, Henry, dead drunk, was sent back home. He reeked of alcohol and there was a bright red lipstick mark on his sharply contoured side face. Luna pretended not to see anything and threw Henry onto the bed. Only the stiff part of her body close to him knew how much she loathed him now. Luna leaned towards the outside of the bed and forced herself to fall asleep quickly. However, she couldn't. Just the thought of the man beside her, who was already rotten to the core, made her feel sick. Why, she really didn't understand. If he didn't love her anymore, he should just tell her. She wasn't the kind of woman who would cling on desperately. Why did he have to disgust her like this? She couldn't figure it out, and she didn't want to think about it anymore. A month was enough time for her to put an end to their 10-year relationship. At noon the next day, Henry woke up. The soft bed sheet beside him no longer had the warmth of Luna, which made him feel a bit lost. This woman had only focused on studying when they were at school, and after graduation, she had thrown herself wholeheartedly into her career. When would she ever put him, her boyfriend and future husband, first? It was really frustrating. But then he thought that in just 1 month they would get married, and a wave of happiness welled up in his heart. He did think that this 10-year relationship, which had been the same day in and day out, was a bit dull, and he was also a bit annoyed by Luna's indifference over the years. This woman always kept her emotions in check, making it impossible to tell what was on her mind. She never relied on him, refused to accept his help, refused to spend his money, and kept his assistance at arm's length. She called it not wanting to be a daughter flower that clung to him. She didn't understand him at all. Which man didn't want to be relied on by his woman? But despite his annoyance, he had never truly considered not marrying her. What he said yesterday was just a momentary outburst of bravado. Isabella could indeed make him feel the pleasure of heroism from being relied on. But it was okay for casual flirting. When it came to marriage, forget it. Besides Luna, he had never thought of marrying anyone else in his life. Thinking of this, he realized that he had been a bit too much recently. I'll go find her and have lunch with her at noon, Henry planned. He got up and went to the bathroom. When he saw himself in the mirror, he froze. He quickly and nervously wiped the lipstick mark off his face with his hand. Had Luna seen it? In love she couldn't tolerate even the slightest bit of infidelity. She remembered that when they were at school, just because he had gotten a bit too close to a junior female student, she had broken up with him. He had spent half a year trying to coax her, and in the end, he had to use the old trick of feigning illness and merely killing himself to get her forgiveness. He didn't dare to imagine what kind of storm there would be if Luna saw this lipstick mark. Henry took out his phone and called Luna cautiously. Fortunately, there was nothing unusual in Luna's tone. Maybe it was too dark at that time and she didn't notice it, Henry thought thankfully. It seemed that he had to be more careful in the future. Luna, I miss you. Let's have lunch together, okay? I want to see you. Henry's voice was gentle and tender, with a bit of seductive charm. Luna suppressed her nausea and forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Okay, see you at noon. Henry, our farewell starts from today. In the Western restaurant, the melodious sound of the violin lingered in the air. Luna and Henry sat facing each other. One was full of affection, while the other was as calm as water. Henry looked at Luna with eyes so gentle that they seemed to be filled with love. Luna looked back at him, and there was an illusion that their relationship had always been like this. A wave of sadness welled up in her heart. Henry, aren't you tired of pretending? Then she lowered her head and focused on eating. Then she quietly watched Henry's performance. Towards the end of the meal, Henry's phone rang. He looked up at Luna, his eyes a little unnatural. Luna pretended not to notice anything. After wiping her mouth clean, she asked him, "Do you have anything to do this afternoon? Let's go for a walk together?" Henry was a bit surprised when Luna invited him to go for a walk. He knew that recently was a crucial period for Luna's promotion. It was already a miracle that she had agreed to have a meal with him because of this promotion. Just as he was about to agree, his phone rang again. What caught his eye was a special photo of Isabella. Isabella was wearing a bunny costume, with blurred eyes, looking both innocent and alluring. "Is it okay another day? There's still an important meeting in the company today." He refused without batting an eyelid, not knowing that when he lowered his head to look at his phone, the mirror behind him had already revealed the truth to Luna. "Okay, work comes first." A smile appeared on Luna's face, but her hand under the table was already clenched so tightly that it hurt. "Henry, you're really disgusting." After Henry left, Luna also drove out. The car drove eastward all the way and finally stopped in the parking lot of N University. Luna got out of the car and strolled alone in the cherry blossom forest. It was late autumn now. The leaves of the cherry blossom trees were fluttering, which had a different charm compared to the season when the cherry blossoms fell, but it added a bit more desolation. She wrapped her woolen coat tightly around herself, and her thoughts unconsciously went back 10 years ago. Henry's pursuit was very cliché. He said to her with a playful smile, "Classmate, you look a lot like my girlfriend. Will you marry me and be my wife?" The classmates present were all cheering and teasing, but Luna thought he was crazy. At that time, she had just finished her grandmother's funeral. She had experienced having her house occupied by her uncles and aunts and had completely become a homeless orphan. The only person she could rely on in this world was herself. She was very busy earning tuition fees, busy earning living expenses, and busy building a home for herself. For some people, just living consumed all their energy. How could they have the heart to think about other things? She refused Henry without mercy. "It's so tacky and boring. If you want to play around, that's fine, but don't bother me." She thought that since she had refused so bluntly, he would give up. Unexpectedly, this instead aroused Henry's competitive spirit, and he pursued her even more fiercely. He chased her for 2 years, and she refused him for 2 years. Until she was molested by an oily man during her part-time job. When she refused, she was slapped in the face. Henry, who was not far away, saw this scene and was like a madman. He almost beat that man to death. He gritted his teeth and cursed, "I cherish my girl so much that I wish I could hold her in my mouth. How dare you slap her in the face?" He recklessly punched the man in the face, and he himself didn't avoid getting punched either. When the police came, both he and that man had become like pigs' heads. After coming out of the police station, Henry's eyes were so swollen that there was only a thin line left. Luna looked at his funny appearance but started crying. Are you stupid? You could have just called the police. Why did you fight with him? When Henry saw her crying, he suddenly panicked and clumsily reached out his hands to wipe the tears off her face. Don't cry. I'm not in pain. Luna looked at Henry, who was like a pig's head, and cried even harder. All the grievances that had accumulated in her heart over the years were released at this moment. When she was tired from crying, she asked Henry in a low voice, "Do you want to give it a try with me?" What? Henry felt that the world at this moment was incredibly beautiful and unreal. If you don't want to, forget it. Before Luna could finish speaking, Henry covered her mouth. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. He looked into her eyes and promised earnestly, Luna, don't worry. You won't suffer a loss by choosing your big brother. I will love you with my life for the rest of my life. Bringing her thoughts back, Luna pursed her lips and forced back her tears. 10 years had passed. He had persisted for 10 years. Why had he changed? Before, she always felt that this road was very long. Now, when walking it again, it only took about 10 minutes to reach the end. At the end of the cherry blossom forest was a man-made lake. 2 or 3 ducks were floating on the lake. On the shore, there were 4 or 5 pairs of lovers sitting. They were laughing and playing, full of tenderness. When she was at school, she was very busy, and the time she spent with Henry was very limited. More importantly, she didn't want to get involved in his social circle. His circle was full of wealthy and noble people who spent money recklessly. The money they spent on one meal was enough for her tuition fees and living expenses for a whole semester. So later, she refused to attend the gatherings in his circle anymore. The small lakeside was the place where they had their dates. She also didn't want to be an obstacle between him and his friends. An eagle should return to the sky, and a tiger should belong to the forest. And Henry should be with his friends. Luna didn't want Henry to be an outsider in his circle because of her. As for her, it didn't matter. One day, she would, through her own efforts, have the ability to sit in the club with them and sing a song and have a glass of wine with a clear conscience. She was almost there. But he had changed. Luna sat by the lake, and the cold wind blew against her face. Looking at the ripples on the lake's surface caused by the wind, her heart ached as if pricked by needles. The sun gradually set in the west. The sun in late autumn always set more resolutely. The young couples by the lake felt the cold and left in 2s and 3s. After it was completely dark, the streetlight cast a circle of light on the ground. Luna stared blankly at the lake, but her mind was completely blank. It was not until the dormitory lights out bell rang that she slowly stood up. When she used to have dates with Henry, as soon as the bell rang, she would quickly stand up and run towards the dormitory, for fear of being locked out by the dormitory supervisor a minute later. Henry's friends always joked that the dormitory lights out bell was like the bell before Cinderella transformed back. So they gave her a nickname, Cinderella. Luna gave a bitter smile. They really had foresight. The bell had rung, and Cinderella had returned to her true self. But it didn't matter. Cinderella didn't necessarily need a prince to set off her to become a princess. After finishing the matter, Henry lit a cigarette. Isabella, let's break up. He took out a card. There's 5 million yuan in this. This apartment is also yours. Why? Isabella looked stunned with tears in her eyes, and her pitiful eyes were filled with a sense of brokenness. Don't you want me anymore? If there's anything I didn't do well, tell me, and I can change it. Henry, I'm begging you, don't leave me. Isabella's humble words made Henry feel a pang of pity. But thinking of Luna, he hesitated again. Since he found the lipstick mark on his face in the morning, he had been feeling anxious. When having lunch, he was relieved to see that Luna's expression was normal. But he knew the saying, if you often walk by the river, your shoes will surely get wet. If he didn't want the matter to be exposed, it was best to break up with Isabella as soon as possible. He took out another card and handed it to Isabella. Be good. I'll give you another 5 million yuan. Don't make a scene with me. You know I've always had a bad temper. Isabella bit her lip in silence, feeling a bit unwilling. You said yesterday that I could come to snatch the groom and that you would go with me. Why are you driving me away today? Henry. I want to know what happened. Theft. A soft laugh came out of Henry's nostrils. He reached out and pinched Isabella's face. Silly girl, you're so innocent that it makes people feel sorry for you. What a man says after drinking in a place of entertainment, you should just listen to it and not take it seriously. I've already invested too much in Luna. It would be a loss to give up now. Honor stubbornly maintained his machismo, and in Isabella's eyes, it was because he was used to being with Luna, not because of their feelings. However, habits were easy to change and cultivate anew. She felt a bit envious and even jealous of Luna in her heart. Compared with her, Luna had just met Henry earlier. If she had been born a few years earlier, there would have been no place for Luna. She was young, beautiful, had personality, and was more confident. Henry was destined to be hers. But she also knew Henry's stubborn temper. He was decisive and didn't easily change the decisions he made. Then she would start with Luna. From Henry's friends, she had more or less learned about Luna's temper. She was serious, stubborn, and couldn't tolerate any betrayal. After thinking it through, she decided to show weakness first. Okay, I promise to break up. But can you give me some time? Henry, I promise you that I will never appear in your life again after you get married to her. After all, I don't want to be a bad woman who ruins someone else's marriage. It's just that what you said was really too sudden, and my heart hurts so much. Can you not be so cruel to me? Henry sighed and extinguished the cigarette, but in the ashtray. He knew he was being cruel. In a love triangle, at least one person would get hurt. He couldn't bear to let Luna get even the slightest bit of hurt, and he didn't dare to either. So the one who had to be hurt could only be Isabella. Okay, one last month. Okay. Isabella stopped crying and smiled, then cockathiously nestled into Henry's arms, causing another stir. When Henry wasn't paying attention, Isabella quietly turned on the camera of her phone. 80 days later, Luna received a call from the bridal shop. Miss Luna, the wedding dress you customized has been adjusted. Do you have time to come and try it on? Okay. Luna hung up the phone and unconsciously fell into memories again. This wedding dress had been ordered even before she agreed to Henry's proposal. It was the swan song of the famous wedding dress designer Gabriel. It wasn't something that could be bought just with money. At that time, Henry had pestered Gabriel for half a year just to get this wedding dress. She still remembered the look of relief in Gabriel's deep blue eyes when they met to confirm the design plan. Luna, it's my honor that my swan song can serve you two lovers. Mr. Henry loves you very much. I wish you happiness. Happiness? Luna gave a bitter smile. Maybe. But that was only in the past. In the past 2 years, in order to be able to stand side by side with Henry at the same height as soon as possible, she had been consuming herself like a tireless machine. She used to weigh only a little over 90 pounds, but now she was down to 80 pounds. Naturally, the originally ordered size didn't fit anymore. She felt embarrassed to trouble Gabriel, so she entrusted the wedding dress to the largest bridal shop in S City to adjust the size. After having lunch, Luna drove to the bridal shop. The salesger who received her seemed hesitant to speak. Miss Luna, you're here. Well, please wait a moment. Luna frowned. Just tell me what happened. I'll be okay. The salesger didn't say anything. She just led Luna behind a glass door. There was a light purple coating on the glass door. Luna could see the scene in the bridal fitting room, but the people in the fitting room couldn't see what was behind the glass door. Isabella was wearing the exclusive wedding dress that originally belonged to Luna. She was as proud as a white swan. There was a smile on her face, like a peach blossom in full bloom in spring. Henry, do I look good? Henry had one hand in his pocket, and his whole demeanor was noble and lazy. You look good, you look good. Isabella pouted and said angrily, can you stop being so perfunctory? Can you give me a proper compliment? Henry smiled. What he liked most about Isabella was that she was like a child. Innocent, cute, and interesting. There were less than a month left. He might as well just humor her. You're more beautiful than the moon that makes the flowers blush, more charming than the fish that sink and the geese that fall. You're even better than Shishi and Dia-chan. How about that? Then how do I compare to her? Henry suddenly fell silent. He knew who Isabella was referring to. Luna behind the glass door had red eyes. She forced a smile and said to the Salister, just send the wedding dress to my home. I won't try it on. It looks fine. The young Salister rubbed her fingers, looking terrified. She didn't know if what she did was right or wrong. Yesterday, Isabella had found her and given her 20,000 yuan, asking her to leave Luna to witness this scene with her own eyes. At first, she was a bit hesitant. Later, she thought that it might not be a bad thing for Luna to find out about this early. But after all, her motives weren't pure. Miss Luna, I'm sorry. The young Salister lowered her head, too guilty to look into Luna's eyes. Luna patted her on the shoulder and shook her head, don't say that. I should thank you. But, Luna interrupted her, no matter the reason, I thank you for letting me see this scene. Because of this, my heart can I a little more. She didn't say the last part out loud. She turned around and left a bridal shop without looking back. Take it off. Men changed their faces faster than turning a page. Henry had been complimenting Isabella just a second ago, but the next second his face was so dark that it seemed to drip ink. He was a bit annoyed. Why did he agree to Isabella's stupid request? It was stupid enough to have agreed to break off this shady relationship after his marriage. Now he had somehow agreed to bring her to try on the wedding dress that was exclusive to Luna. He didn't dare to think about what the consequences would be if Luna found out about all this. No, it wouldn't happen. He would never let Luna know about all this. Take it off, quickly. Okay. Isabella bit her lip, hiding her unwillingness in her eyes. The corners of her mouth turned up. There was a bit of mockery of Henry in her complacency. Isn't it a bit late to be scared now? 18 minutes ago, she had received a text message from the Salister. Miss Luna saw it and laughed with an ugly expression. Isabella chuckled. It seemed that it wouldn't be long before she received the good news that Henry had been dumped. At that time, she would show weakness at the right time and then say some words that seemed to persuade them to get back together, but actually made Henry dislike Luna. She believed that Henry, who had been hurt in his pride without mercy, would understand who the right person was. She had been waiting for this day ever since she agreed to be Henry's mistress. She had gone to great lengths to hook up with an heir like Henry. She didn't want to be a mistress who was discarded after being used. Time passed quickly, and half a month had passed in the blink of an eye. These days, Luna had endured her nausea and accompanied Henry in acting out one scene after another. Taking wedding photos, choosing wedding favors, handwriting wedding invitations, she had done everything with Henry personally. She was like an ordinary young woman waiting to get married, with happiness on her face every day. Facing Isabella's repeated provocations, she endured them with the greatest tolerance. Until Isabella flew into a rage and burst into her office. She raised her lips and arrogantly slapped a piece of paper on Luna's desk with a snap. On the black and white ultrasound report, a life the size of a bean was clearly shown on the paper. It seems that the legendary Miss Luna who can't tolerate any betrayal is just so. I thought you would cancel the wedding after you left the bridal shop. Luna glanced at her infuriately and lowered her head to continue looking at the documents in her hand. There were still half a month left. She had to quickly hand over all her work perfectly so as to be worthy of the company's cultivation of her over the years. Isabella was enraged by Luna's calm attitude. What are you pretending for? Did you see this ultrasound report? I'm pregnant with Henry's child. There's Henry's child in my belly. Luna raised her head and sneered, so what? If you're pregnant with his child, shouldn't you go to him? What are you doing coming to find me? Do you want to give birth to it and make me raise it? She pretended to think for a moment and then nodded. Becoming a mother painlessly seems quite good. Thank you. You? Isabella was speechless with anger. It seemed that she had underestimated Luna. I've been with Henry for a year. Every day when he said he was on a business trip or working overtime, he was with me having an affair. He said he was already tired of you. The only reason he's marrying you is that the sunk cost is too high and he doesn't want to give up. He also said that as long as I come to snatch the groom on your wedding day, he'll go with me. Luna, save some dignity for yourself. Why cling to a man who doesn't love you? Or do you really want to wait until I show up at the wedding with the ultrasound report to snatch the groom and make you lose face in front of all your relatives and friends? Oh, I forgot. Everyone in your family is dead except you. A family of short-lived people. I wonder what kind of immoral things they did in their previous lives. Slap. Luna stood up and slapped Isabella across the face. Her dead family members were her sore spot. Before Isabella could come to her senses, Luna grabbed Isabella's neck. She sneered, if what you said is true, you should just ask Henry to cancel the wedding. Why are you barking at me here? Let me guess. He must have told you to get lost, and you're so unwilling that you came to me to make a fuss. You're hoping that I'll take the initiative to dump Henry so that you can take my place. But shouldn't you have the right attitude when you're asking for something? Does Henry know that you're here? Do you want me to call him and let him tell you himself? Isabella's face turned pale instantly. She absolutely couldn't let Henry know that she had come to see Luna. Otherwise, with Henry's temper, he might even kill her. Isabella's knees went weak, and she slowly knelt on the ground. Luna, please leave Henry. My baby and I can't live without him. Luna let go of her. Get lost. And I don't have a sister. Don't try to claim a relationship with me. Isabella grabbed onto the hem of Luna's pants and said humbly, Miss Luna, please don't tell Henry about what happened today. Otherwise, with his temper, he will definitely kill me. Fine. You can leave now. After Isabella left, Luna leaned back in her chair, feeling cold all over her body. Their 10-year relationship had now turned out to be so unbearable. She felt even more disgusted with Henry. After finishing the final work handover, she asked the company's HR department to keep it a secret for her temporarily. The HR staff smiled and said, You're going home to be a wealthy wife. That's a good thing. What's there to hide? You've been working too hard these years. It's time for you to take a good rest. Luna gave a bitter smile and repeatedly told the HR staff, Lily, I hope you can keep my resignation a secret for now. Especially from Henry. Lily had a motherly smile on her face and said, I understand. It's a wedding gift. Most people in the company knew that Henry had always been reluctant to see Luna so busy. He had tried to persuade her to resign several times, but she had refused. That's why Lily mistakenly thought that Luna's resignation was to give Henry a surprise. That was fine too, as it saved her the trouble of having to explain. After resigning, Luna moved out of the home she shared with Henry on the grounds, and it was unlucky for a couple to live together before marriage. With only a few days left until the wedding, Henry agreed without even thinking about it. Luna let out a sigh of relief, and began to gradually remove all traces of herself. Henry was too busy with his final indulgence and didn't notice at all that all the things that carried Luna's scent had been cleared away. 3 days before the wedding, it was Luna's birthday. Henry threw a grand party for her at a hotel. All the people who came were Henry's friends, except Isabella. This time Luna didn't refuse. Luna was wearing a white pleated skirt and a sky blue denim vest on top. It was completely different from the professional suits and casual home clothes she used to wear every day. Henry was momentarily mesmerized. He seemed to see the Luna from their college days. She was pure, cute, gentle and charming, and as obedient as a rabbit. Luna also saw the nostalgia in Henry's eyes for the past days that had passed. Yes, that's exactly what she wanted. She wanted him to remember how he had loved her and how he had cherished her in the past. Only in this way, when the bubble of the truth was burst, would he realize his mistake and feel the pain. the cheerful birthday song sounded, and the candles were lit one by one. When the song ended, the lights went out, leaving only the flickering candlelight. Everyone held their breath and watched Luna make a wish quietly. She closed her eyes and made a wish in her heart. First, I wish for a successful career. Second, I wish for good health. Third, I wish never to see Henry again in this life, whether in life or in death. She opened her eyes, took a deep breath, and blew out all the candles. Henry's friends egged on and said, "Sister-in-law, what did you wish for? What kind of silly question is that? It must be something related to our Henry. To grow old together. To have 2 children in 3 years." Henry looked at Luna with a smile, his voice tender. "Luna, what did you wish for? Is it related to me?" Luna tilted her head and replied playfully, "Of course it's related to you. I'll tell you what my wish was later." Henry's friends started to egg him on again after hearing this. Sister-in-law is shy. It must be about having 2 children in 3 years. Henry's friends were really funny. They drank, played finger-guessing games, and smeared cake on each other. This was the only time Luna didn't feel constrained when she was with them. It could have been a really wonderful memory. Until Henry answered a phone call and then said with a very bad expression that he had something urgent to leave. Luna nodded and said to him, "Your important business comes first." She smiled innocently, but Henry's friends had different expressions on their faces. After the party ended, they all left. Luna crouched on the curb, hugging her head and crying bitterly. On her phone, Isabella's provocation was still there. "I heard it's your birthday. Do you believe that with just one phone call from me, he will leave you and come to me?" Sure enough, Henry left. At Isabella's house, Henry had a gloomy expression. "Didn't you always take birth control pills? How could this happen?" Isabella had red eyes and shook her head. "I don't know how it happened either." "Get rid of it," he said without thinking. "Get rid of it." Isabella's tears suddenly fell and she pleaded humbly, "Henry, this is our child, and he's also your flesh and blood. How could you bear to abandon him?" Henry tugged at his collar irritably and said ruthlessly, "My child. Only the one born from Luna's belly is my child. You don't want him to be an illegitimate child hated by others from the moment he's born, do you?" "Henry." Isabella helplessly tugged at the corner of Henry's clothes, but in her heart, she hated Luna to death. Henry threw another card to Isabella. "Isabella, you're a smart person and you know what to do. I won't acknowledge this child. From today on, we're done. Don't appear in front of me again." Isabella panicked. She didn't expect things to backfire. She hugged Henry tightly and pleaded, I was wrong, Henry. I'll get rid of this child right away. Don't ignore me." Honey pried Isabella's hand apart and said, "There are a great many things to handle before the wedding. I'll pay you 3,000,000 yuan for these 3 days. You've made a fortune. Isabella, you should learn to be content. Men like women who don't pester them." After saying that, Henry left gracefully. Isabella went crazy and smashed everything in the house that she could. An outside woman? She didn't want to be an outside woman. She dialed Luna's phone number and cursed, "Luna, I thought you were so high and mighty. Turns out you're just a gold digger who can't bear to leave Henry's money. Aren't you someone who can't tolerate any betrayal? Henry has been slept with by me so many times. Why haven't you left him yet? Do you like wearing a green hat that much? You'll have something to cry about later." At this time, Luna had just stood up and wiped away her tears. After adjusting her emotions, she said calmly, "Thank you." "Thank you?" Isabella was stunned. "Are you crazy?" "No, thank you for letting me know in advance that Henry is an unreliable man. Remember to come and snatch the groom on my wedding day. I'm giving him to you." "What? What do you mean?" Isabella was a bit dazed. Why did these words sound so familiar? Snatch the groom. She suddenly realized and said, "You knew about it a month ago?" Luna didn't hide it and said, "Yes. So, I wish you success in snatching the groom. But I have to remind you, he's not a good match. If I were you, I'd stay far away from him." "So you're going to break up with him on the wedding day?" Isabella was overwhelmed with excitement. She thought Luna was going to humiliate Henry severely at the wedding. Which man could stand being humiliated in front of all his relatives and friends? At that time, she, who was understanding, would be there with the cute child in her belly. Wouldn't it be easy for her to win Henry over? You'd better keep your word. Okay. After getting Luna's reply, Isabella hung up the phone excitedly. She thought to herself that Luna was really as naive as the rumors said. Where is a man's love more important than his money? In the blink of an eye, it was the day of the wedding. The night before, Luna had even chatted with Henry on the phone for 3 hours, reminiscing about their youth and imagining their future. On the day of the wedding, however, she boarded a plane to Paris. In the hotel, Henry was full of confidence and pride, as if he wanted to write "I'm getting married today" on his face. Henry's mother complained to her friend in a bad mood, "Look at him, he's so hopeless. He'll probably be a henpecked husband in the future." At first, Henry's mother didn't think much of Luna. She thought that Luna was an orphan with no one to rely on and that she couldn't help Henry at all. But she couldn't resist her son's love for Luna. Her son would be like a lost soul if he didn't see Luna for a day, so she let it go. With their family's business at this level, there was no need to enhance the family's strength through a marriage alliance. Moreover, Luna was an ambitious girl. Just looking at her as a person, Luna was more than worthy of her son. Approaching noon, the wedding organizers noticed something was wrong. They found Henry and asked, "Why hasn't the bride arrived yet?" "What?" Henry's heart skipped a beat. He thought Luna had already arrived and was getting dressed in the bride's dressing room. He took out his phone, unlocked it in a panic, and dialed Luna's number. A cold female voice prompted, "The number you have dialed is turned off." He called again, and it was still, "The number you have dialed is turned off." He used another phone to call, and it was the same. At this time, a little girl took out a hard drive and handed it to Henry. "This is a wedding gift from Miss Luna for you. Please make sure to play it on the wedding's large screen." Henry's heart, which had been hanging in the air, relaxed for a moment. He thought it was a wedding surprise from Luna. Suddenly, an image appeared on the huge LED screen. It was a video recorded in a private room of a club. "I'll come to snatch the groom on your wedding day." "Sure, if you dare to come, I'll go with you." Henry was rooted to the spot. Next, there were pictures of him and Isabella being affectionate. Isabella's face was blurred, but his was clearly visible to everyone present. Henry's friend reacted first and grabbed the hard drive and pulled it out of the computer. Isabella rushed up, wanting to comfort Henry, but he grabbed her by the neck. "Bitch, how could Luna have that kind of video? What did you say to her?" Isabella's face turned red from being choked. She said intermittently, "Henry, she doesn't want you. And the child will always be by your side." "Child?" Henry was like a bloodthirsty devil. He madly pinned Isabella down and kicked her belly recklessly. Instantly there was a pool of dark red blood. The scene was in chaos. Isabella was taken away by an ambulance, and Henry was detained by the police. The incident and Henry's family made it to the front pages of both the entertainment and finance sections in S-City that night. Henry's parents blamed their son for his lack of self-discipline, and at the same time, they resented Luna for being too heartless. Couldn't they have separated amicably? Why did it have to end up in such an ugly mess? Henry's mother began to regret it. She should have never agreed to Henry being with Luna in the first place. Girls from ordinary families are just short-sighted, and will make a big fuss about even the smallest things until everyone knows about it. When Luna landed and turned on her phone, there were so many messages that the phone almost crashed. Before she could look through these messages, her attention was drawn to a news alert. "Scandal breaks out on the wedding day of the heir of the Henry Group." Luna let out a sigh and clicked on the news. It was truly a mess. Isabella's life was hanging in the balance, and Henry got himself handcuffed. She couldn't quite describe her feelings. It was neither joy nor sadness. There was only a sense of relief that they were even now. He had tainted their relationship. She gave him a memorable scandal. From then on, they were even. After taking 2 days to rest, Luna threw herself into the intense work. The project of Professor Maxwell's team this time was a series of jewelry designs with the theme of mythology. Luna and Julian were in charge of the theme of Eastern mythology. This was Luna's first battle since joining the new team, and she took it very seriously. She immersed herself in searching for materials and drawing sketches every day. Henry called her every day without getting tired of it. To avoid being disturbed, she simply turned off her phone completely. Anyway, she didn't have many friends back in China. A month later, she was still blocked by Henry downstairs in the company. Luna was still wearing a neat business suit, with her long hair tied up at the back of her head and pinned with a pearl-colored hairpin. She had a delicate makeup on, and she was wearing a pair of high-heeled shoes with a white main body and light golden edges. Although she looked tired, her eyes were as captivating as stars. When Henry saw her, his eyes suddenly turned red. All his anger turned into deep longing the moment he saw Luna. "Luna, you're so heartless." There was a smile on his face, but his voice was trembling uncontrollably. Luna remained silent. She was very tired, with only 5 or 6 hours of sleep every day. Her time was precious. She had a team meeting in the morning and a seminar on design inspiration at a stage with Professor Maxwell. In the afternoon, she had to perfect several design drafts, and in the evening, she had to continue researching materials. She was only thinking about how to quickly get rid of Henry and make him stop pestering her. She also smiled, with a perfunctory smile. "Henry, we're even now." "Even?" He laughed loudly, but his eyes were terrifyingly red. "Luna, do you have a heart at all? I've been looking for you for a whole month, day and night. I'm almost dying from exhaustion, and you're telling me we're even?" Luna looked at her wristwatch impatiently. "Henry, can you stop making a scene? I'm going to be late, and the meeting in the morning is very important." Henry was stung by Luna's indifferent attitude. He grabbed Luna's wrist. The security guards at the company entrance saw this and detained Henry. After breaking free, Luna walked away without looking back. Looking at Luna's resolute back, Henry felt a deep sense of despair. Luna thought that Henry cared about his reputation. She had embarrassed him so much that day, and he should have given up. Unexpectedly, he resorted to the old trick of pestering her that he used when he was chasing her in college. He rented a house next to hers. There were continuous deliveries of flowers and delicious food every day. Afraid that Luna wouldn't be used to French cuisine, he even learned how to cook. Luna refused many times, but Henry seemed to not understand her words. Every time Luna said something harsh, he just smiled at her foolishly. Later, Luna just let him be. This kind of life went on for half a year. Henry's parents couldn't stand it anymore. They found Luna. Henry's mother seemed to have aged a lot. The once high-spirited Henry's mother had an unerasable look of exhaustion in her eyes. She said, "Luna, please, let my son go. He's my only son, and he can't continue like this." Luna's face showed displeasure. These wealthy people never learned to respect others. Whenever there was a mistake, they liked to shift the blame onto those they thought were inferior to them. It was the same when she was with Henry, and it was the same after they separated. She said seriously, "Auntie, I should be the one saying this. Please ask Henry to leave me alone. I'm very busy with my work now. I'm so busy that I don't even have time to sleep. His current behavior is quite a bother to me." Henry's mother was taken aback and a bit annoyed. Her son had already humbled himself to such an extent. What more did this woman want? Why didn't she know when to stop? She made a small incident in their relationship known to everyone, which was already too much. Besides, Henry loved her. Why didn't she know how to be content? In a family of their status, it was quite normal to have 1 or 2 women for casual flings. "Luna, that's enough. Henry knows he's wrong, and you should let go of your anger. If you keep making a fuss, it will be too much." She handed Luna a card. "This was originally intended for you when you got married. Now consider it as compensation for Henry's mistake." Luna suddenly laughed. She was a bit speechless. "Auntie, what do you mean? Even now you still think that I'm after your money? Henry's mother didn't say anything, but her eyes fixed on Luna clearly showed what she meant. Luna pushed the card back to Henry's mother and said seriously, Auntie, it's over between Henry and me. Over means it's never going to happen again. Also, money isn't everything. It can't buy true love, nor can it mend a heart that has been deeply hurt. Henry's mother had never been refused like this before. For a moment, she didn't care about her image anymore. She lost her temper and spoke without thinking. Luna, what are you pretending for? I'm telling you, once you miss this opportunity, you won't get another one. Be careful not to go too far and regret it later. Luna shook her head. Agreeing to meet today was really a stupid decision. In the evening, when Luna got off work, Henry was waiting outside her door again. She let out a sigh and said to Henry, Come in. Henry was stunned and was overjoyed in an instant. He knew that Luna was the kindest at heart. As long as he didn't give up, Luna would forgive him sooner or later. Have a seat. After entering the door, Henry looked around. Luna's room was very small, and he could take in the whole room at a glance. But it was decorated very warmly, and it was obvious that it had been carefully arranged. Luna poured a glass of water and handed it to him, treating him like a guest. Luna, He was about to speak when Luna interrupted him. Henry, do you know what wish I made on my birthday? What? He was a bit curious and also a bit scared. One of them was related to you. I wish to never see you again in this life. What? The cup in Henry's hand suddenly slipped and shattered into pieces when it hit the ground. He slowly squatted down and trembled as he picked up the pieces of glass on the floor. Tears fell to the ground, mixing with the water and splashing into small puddles. He stood up and without hesitation, he pulled Luna into his arms and murmured, Luna, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Please give me one more chance, okay? I promise you this will definitely be the last time. Luna pushed him away and gave a bitter smile. Henry, we were together for 10 years. You should know what kind of person I am. Henry pleaded humbly. Luna, can you break your principles just this once for me? Just this once. Henry, what do you have to do to leave me alone? Wasn't it enough to disgust me in China? Do you have to follow me abroad and disgust me here too? Can you stop pestering me like a dog? What did you say? Henry looked at Luna in disbelief. He couldn't believe that such vicious words could come out of Luna's mouth. But Luna did say it. Henry, please leave me alone. Don't be a bother to me. Luna, do you have a heart at all? Our 10-year relationship, you can just throw it away like that? Don't you feel anything at all? Or have you never loved me? Not feel anything? Luna gave a bitter smile. How could she not feel anything? She just showed her pain in the dead of night when no one was around. How many times had she woken up with a wet pillow? How many times had she cried until she felt like vomiting? How many times had she hoped that all of this was just a nightmare and that everything would go back to normal when she woke up? Henry, you are the last person who has the right to mention our 10-year relationship. Because it was you who betrayed that 10-year relationship. Why should I forgive you? I don't want to lie beside you every night and wonder what you were like when you were with other women. I don't want to be suspicious every time you're not with me, wondering if you're with other women. I don't want to be a complaining woman. Henry, I'm begging you, please leave me alone. Henry covered his face, squatted on the ground, and his voice choked with sobs. He knew that he had really lost Luna. Can we still be friends in the future? Luna shook her head, no. Okay. Henry finally left, and Luna let out a sigh of relief. Her life went on as usual, with fulfilling work and an orderly rhythm. Unexpectedly, another uninvited guest arrived. Isabella looked 10 years older compared to half a year ago. She had a bitter expression on her face and had completely lost her previous youthful and beautiful appearance. Luna was flipping through the materials in her hand without raising her head and said, What are you here for? Isabella said in a low voice, I'm here to apologize to you. Huh? Luna stopped her work and looked up. You only have 5 minutes. I have a meeting in 5 minutes. Isabella suddenly sat down beside Luna, grabbed her arm, and said tearfully, "Luna, I know I was wrong. Please persuade Henry to leave me alone. I shouldn't have sent you those videos, nor should I have gone to you with the ultrasound report, and I definitely shouldn't have disgusted you on your birthday. I've lost my ability to have children now. This is my retribution. I just beg Henry to spare my parents and stop taking revenge on us." Luna frowned and said coldly, "First, I don't have a younger sister. Don't call me sister. Second, your mistake isn't sending me those videos, nor is it going to me with the ultrasound report, and it's definitely not disgusting me on my birthday. Your mistake is knowing he had a girlfriend and still being his mistress. Third, I've already broken up with Henry. What he does to you has nothing to do with me. Finally, you don't really know you were wrong. You just can't bear the consequences and want someone else to pay for it. I'm not stupid. Why should I help you?" After saying that, she looked at her wristwatch and stood up. 5 minutes are up. "I hope this is the last time we meet." Isabella gritted her teeth and roared unwillingly, "Luna, why are you so heartless? You're also a woman. I can never have children again. What else do you want? Aren't you afraid of retribution?" Luna let out a soft laugh. "Then let the retribution be that she never has to see this scumbag man and this shameless woman for the rest of her life." 5 years later, Luna returned to her home country. The Eastern mythology series that she and Julian were in charge of was successfully completed. Just as Professor Maxwell had said, Luna became a popular and top-notch jewelry designer. Almost all the companies she cooperated with were internationally renowned brands, and the design fee for one product was as high as 1 million yuan. After returning to China, she and Julian jointly invested to establish her own jewelry brand. Their products were exquisitely designed, with a unique style, and had a touch of the bourgeoisie and their delicacy. They were deeply loved by women with taste. In just 1 year, they reached the top of the industry. She could finally sit together with those successful people, chatting and laughing while having a cup of coffee, discussing a stock, and talking about the financial trends. But the person who used to be by her side disappeared 6 years ago. She smiled. Maybe her original intention was wrong from the start. No matter when, there is only one reason for a woman to want to become better, and that is for herself. After she returned to China, Henry came to see her. In just 5 or 6 years, Henry seemed like a completely different person, much more stable and much more silent. He asked Luna, "Do you hate me?" Luna shook her head, "I don't hate you now." She had indeed hated him before, hated him for easily betraying the feelings she cherished so much. She even wished that Henry would sink into despair and die in pain. Only in this way did she feel it was fair. But later she didn't hate him anymore because there was no love left, and without love, hate naturally had no foundation. Henry gave a sad smile. He knew that the woman in front of him really didn't want him anymore. After meeting Luna, Henry went to a bar and got drunk alone. Halfway through drinking, his face turned pale and he rolled on the ground. He was sent to the hospital by the people in the bar. When he woke up, Henry's mother was sitting by his bedside, looking haggard with red eyes. When she saw that he was awake, tears streamed down Henry's mother's face. "Henry, how far are you going to go? Can't you feel sorry for your mother? If you die, how am I supposed to live?" Henry looked at the ceiling with an empty gaze. Since he came back from France 6 years ago, he had fallen in love with alcohol. Only alcohol could make him forget Luna for a while, and only alcohol could relieve the pain in his heart for a moment. He drank during the day and at night, until he got a perforated stomach and reached the early stage of gastric cancer. After the surgery, he had originally planned to change, but when he saw Luna again, the pain that he had buried in his heart woke up again. "Mom, Luna really doesn't want me anymore." Henry's despairing sobs caught the attention of several young nurses. During their break, 2 young nurses whispered to each other. "What's wrong with him? Did he break up with his girlfriend?" "I don't know. I heard that his fiancée left him on their wedding day." Why? This man is so handsome and seems to be quite rich. What was his fiancée thinking? I heard that he had a mistress, and the mistress went to his fiancée to make a scene when she was pregnant. TSK, is that so? Rich people really have wild ways. If I were his fiancée, I wouldn't stand for it either. He was already sharing himself with another woman before getting married. It's really disgusting. The two young nurses thought they were speaking in a low voice, but their conversation reached Henry's ears word for word. Really disgusting. Yes, disgusting. That's exactly what Luna had said. Other women thought it was disgusting, let alone Luna. She used to be such a proud girl. Sorry. Henry sent a text message to Luna. Luna was stunned for a moment when she saw it. Julian asked her, "What's wrong?" She smiled and shook her head. "I guess he sent it by mistake."